Hello, Trinity Academy. This is another of our 2-minute mysteries called The Case of the Bogus Robbery, or the Fake Robbery. Since she was the richest woman in New York City, Mrs. Sidney had gratified every desire she'd had except for one. She had never been able to stump Dr. Haljogen. So, the detective knew the game of Stump the Detective had commenced again when at 2 o'clock in the morning he was summoned to go to her mansion by the butler, who announced her jewels have been stolen. Entering Mrs. Sidney's bedroom, the famed sleuth closed the door and swiftly surveyed the scene. The French windows were open. To the left of the disordered bed stood an end table with a book and 2 candles. The candles had burned down to 3 inches, spilling all of their drippings down the side, facing the door. A bell cord lay on the thick green carpet, and a drawer of the vanity table was open. "What happened?" inquired Haldejan, the detective. "I was reading in bed by candlelight when the door blew open," said Mrs. Sidney. "As you perhaps felt, a strong draught comes in. I pulled the bell cord for the butler to come and shut the door, but before he arrived, a masked man with a gun entered and forced me to tell him where I kept my jewels. As he scooped them into his pocket, James entered. The thief bound him with the bell cord and tied my hands and legs with these," she said, holding up a pair of stockings. "As he departed, I asked him to have the decency to close the door, but he laughed and just left it open. It took James 20 minutes to work free and release me. I shall have a terrible cold in the morning," concluded Mrs. Sidney. "My compliments," said the detective, "on a nicely staged crime. However, you left out one key thought. Can you figure out why he knew that the crime was not real?" It's a small detail, but it was earlier. It talked about the candles by the window with all of the drippings down the side facing the door. If the door really had been left open as long as they said, some of the wax would have gone on the other side of the candle. Instead, all the wax was just from the windows blowing it in, and so it blew all the wax away from the window and towards the door. But the reality is, if it had been a real crime and the door had been open that long with the draft that she mentioned, the wax would have fallen on both sides of the candle. And that is the case of the bogus robbery.